I'm Lee.
And I'm Z.
And you are listening to episode 3 of the Lee and Z Show in the second half of April 2009. Show notes and links about subjects discussed on today's show will be up at leeandz.com. Now, we got a lot of stuff to cover today, but a lot of people want to know about iTunes again. We have some further problems with iTunes, but I think those have all been resolved.
It's true. iTunes is now our friend. And we have episodes 1, 2, and this episode is now up on iTunes. Probably you might even be listening to your iTunes downloaded episode right now if you are an iTunes subscriber. So definitely check that out. We have a working podcast on iTunes, and everything is great and dandy.
The show is also available on our website at leeandz.com, as well as our most gracious sponsors at thatguywiththeglasses.com. And if you kind of want to wait an extra week for YouTube, we will offer a version there where we might offer maybe some extra little pictures sometimes, but I don't intend to really make a big project out of that. But yeah, we are available on a lot of different places.
Exactly. So pick your poison, decide where you want to listen to us at, and then we will always be there with something new and fresh to listen to every couple weeks.
And for those that aren't familiar with the format of our show, we're kind of a retro/modern gaming podcast with lots of other geeky stuff mixed in, like television, movies, anime, anything, even weird little console modded toasters of Super Nintendo goodness. Yeah.
All sorts of things. But mostly it's just stuff that we think is really cool and that we want to be able to share with you. So whether it's puppets, nerd culture, video games, anime, any sorts of things, that's what we're here to talk about.
Yep, we have a lot of subjects to cover on today's show. The first is going to be that Z actually went on location earlier this month to a great convention in Long Island, but you'll just have to stick around to see just what happened.
That's right. That's right.
Afterwards, we're going to have a discussion of sorts on storytelling in video games and seeing how they progressed over the years. After that, we have an old school segment. This time, Z is bringing something, and I have no idea what it is. She's just been teasing along what it is, and something tells me that it's going to just break me. It's going to break me.
It's a surprise. That's all I can say. It's a surprise.
I like surprises.
And it's something that some of those people out there might very well remember, and some people might have no idea what I'm talking about, and you'll just have to wait and see.
Afterwards, we are going to be doing our Turbo Top 3s. Now, we're going to ramp it down just a little bit because I think last time we had just a little bit of injury. I think I might have broken just a little bit of maybe almost 8 of my toes, and I was very lucky to come out alive last time.
It was intense. It's true. It was almost like a battle of sorts, but I think it's possible that it might be a little bit easier this time, but I don't know. We could bring on the fury, so watch out. That's all I'm going to say. Watch out.
Ooh. All right, and after that, we're going to have our wonderful viewer questions. You guys keep sending in very, very great questions. But first, we are going to talk about Z. The segment is dedicated all to Z and all the cool things she did earlier this month when she went on location to Icon on Long Island. Tell us all about it.
Well, it was awesome. This is the second year in a row that I have been to Icon. It's more of a science fiction convention that has aspects of anime and gaming and medieval stuff. So it's basically like all of these different aspects of geek and nerd culture kind of mashed into one location. And this year it was at Suffolk Community College. In years past it had been at Stony Brook University. They moved it to Suffolk Community College. There were some good things that came out of that. There were some difficult things that came out of that. But overall I had a really great time at this con. The panels were really well attended. People asked some really great and interesting questions, and I even played D&D on Saturday night, which I hadn't done in a very long time, and I had such a good time. And they actually had these amazing 3-dimensional dungeon sets for the D&D game, and they were set up at the back of the dealer room and took up the entire length of the back of the room, and they just had this amazing dungeon on a table that just kind of weaved in and out and had all of these cool little knickknacks and things in it, and like pits and awesome like fake water, and it was so beautiful and lovely and so much fun to play. And we really had a blast doing that. Also, if you've been checking out thatguywiththeglasses.com, you'll notice that my newest episode from Little Miss Gamer, Adam and Z, has been uploaded to the site and is viewable. So definitely check that out, because that's something that we were working on for quite a while. And we actually went to my parents' house to film that. So if you're interested in seeing the newest episode of the other show, Little Miss Gamer, check out That Guy with the Glasses, and you'll be able to see that there. So, Lee, what have you been up to lately?
I've been doing a variety of things. I've actually been able to increase production due to, I used to work like a full-time job, like a full-time desk job, 40 hours a week. I no longer have to deal with that kind of job, so I'm actually been put in a position where I can dedicate pretty much all of my free time and all of my former work time to progressing still gaming and pretty much helping the site thatguywiththeglasses.com become a devastating force. And
a devastating force.
Yes,
I love that.
Yes, that the site is definitely being prepped to take over the entire world, one country at a time. I mean, so far I think we have Uzbekistan. And
yeah, what about Burkina Faso? Do we have them?
Not just yet, but we do have about 20% of the user base there. Most people are still kind of hung up on YouTube, but then once they see the light, because YouTube, they don't have Nostalgia Critic. They're about to lose the Spoonie experiment because they're trying to ban him. And Still Gaming, there's videos that I can't put on YouTube because they're kind of sketchy about copyright. I actually had a video released on thatguywiththeglasses.com in the past few weeks. It was my very first anime review of this little-known show called Gunsmith Cats. I had it done probably months in advance, but I was too afraid to put it on YouTube because they've actually been going around and occasionally banning people that review anime, especially if you've heard of Hayao Miyazaki. He makes great movies like Princess Mononoke and things like that. His studios actually goes out and actively takes down anyone that reviews his movies, whether it be positive or negative, because they'd rather protect their copyrights than actually make money off of sales. So I'm very grateful to be on thatguywiththeglasses.com because they are lifting all those barriers I used to have. My last full episode was Legends of WrestleMania. I did used to watch wrestling back in the day, and I just thought the novelty would be great to be able to pick up this game, but they really, really were just looking to screw people over with that one. It was like a $20 game with a $60 price tag. It was pretty much, it was a tie-in game to like the biggest wrestling event of the year called WrestleMania, and it was like just such a big-time event. I really didn't like the game too much. I'm pretty much trying right now to trade that game away.
I'm shaking my fist right now at that game, so just for you.
Oh, yeah.
But, well, it sounds like you've been really busy, so that's great. So, moving on, what else are we going to talk about today in today's awesome podcast, number 3 from Lindsey?
We have a story that came up about a while ago. The director of Mad Max, he has this opinion that storytelling in video games has surpassed film. And I really am not following him on that, because back in 1998, pretty much what people thought was one of the best written games was Metal Gear Solid, and they would still have the opinion that, yeah, this is definitely one of the most well-written games, but it'd be great for a B movie. And I think the problem is that since then we haven't really advanced since then. We're still kind of stuck in that would make a great B movie phase. I think video game writing has kind of just been stagnant, at least over the past decade, because there's just some things that they're afraid to cover, like pretty much anything involving romance, just relationships, especially anything sexual. A prime example of this, I covered it in an earlier review, is Fallout 3. That is probably one of the most violent games I've played in a long, long time. It easily earns its rating of M for mature. It's just excessive violence, excessive gore, exploding body parts with eyeballs just flying everywhere. But there's like no romance. Nobody even holds hands in this game.
Lee wants romance in games. Well, Lee, have you played Braid? Because that game is very much a romance in some ways. I played the demo, and I've heard there was some good things about it. Yeah, I'm definitely open to seeing any games that are able to try and advance some things. It sounds kind of immature of me at first, actually, like want something like
emotional attachments to characters or things like that, because it just makes them seem more believable. It's like if they're actually in like a real relationship. I'm not saying just throw a bunch of sex in video games. Just the problem is that like developers are afraid to do that, because there was like a game that was like 80 hours long and it had an implied sex scene of about 40 seconds long, and news organizations like Fox News just totally went ridiculous and like called it the most realistic sex simulator of all time, even though you can't see anything. And that's what's kind of holding back video games in terms of storytelling, is that they're kind of afraid to go and do that. So to really say that they've advanced further than film, I can't really agree with that, because we keep holding ourselves back on certain things. We'd rather just have overly violent games and then just write about that. But when it comes to actually just simple things, like some people thought that the gesture of the main character in Mirror's Edge hugging her sister in the first person was actually such a deep moment, when that should be just something that's kind of the norm in video games, but it's actually something that's rare just to even get that kind of attachment to any characters.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not sure that I exactly agree with you, because I think that there is some really interesting stuff happening with storytelling in video games right now that isn't happening in film. And one thing that someone said to me a couple of years ago was that they were feeling like video games were becoming too much like film, that really that they were just animated features that were then cut up with some interactive gameplay in between, because the cutaway scenes were just getting so long, so involved, that they were really taking up at least half of the game. So that, to me, was a very interesting comment. I mean, a lot of times I think that some of these games are so similar to, a choose-your-own-adventure book that I used to read, when I was 10 or 12.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not so sure. I think that we're kind of in this really interesting place in video game development right now, where people are really being given the opportunity to create really interesting things, and you're being given the opportunity to have access to a much bigger audience than you ever were before, with Xbox Live Arcade and WiiWare, with the community game aspect. So I think that through that is going to happen, that you will be seeing more interesting games with some more deeper plot lines, because people do want that kind of thing. People do want characters that are really deep and emotional in some ways. And those games are out there. It's just sometimes they're not the most popular games.
Yeah, I mean, there is like an audience out there that does want well-written games when it comes to the bottom line, which is sales. It seems like the more well-written the game is, the less it sells. Some of my favorite games, like a game like Psychonauts or Beyond Good and Evil, those games are incredibly well-written, but their sales just completely tanked just because they weren't like the next hot violent video game sequel.
Well, one game that we talked about a lot at ICON this past time was Shadow of the Colossus, and something that kept on getting brought up again and again was how that game exemplifies tragedy. You have comedy and tragedy is the two different areas in drama, they say, and that the game Shadow of the Colossus is very much a tragedy. And how awesome is it that somebody created a game that focused in on that genre, when we don't really have that many games doing that right now. So I think that the Mad Max director has a point that he's getting at. Whether you agree or disagree with it, I think it is interesting, and we're in a very interesting time period with games and storytelling. I mean, there are a lot of people who love Master Chief from Halo 3,
right,
really connect with that character in this really amazing, intense way, and feel that story is quite good.
He's the ultimate badass.
There are a lot of people who love that, and will say, I play it because the game is fun and because of the story. So I don't know if I totally love the story. The game was really fun to play, but I know that there are a lot of people who do really love that game and think that the story was quite good.
I just think that we have a long way to go, because I guess video games are kind of trying to be like movies, except they kind of subtract certain things that parents don't approve of. So basically, it's kind of like movies, but like a light version of them.
Totally.
I don't think they've surpassed movies just yet, but they absolutely have the potential. It's just a matter of writers and publishers and developers just growing a pair and just going out and writing out one of the greatest stories they can, and just not worrying about the soccer moms and the Fox News and the politicians just going absolutely crazy over like the smallest of things, because of course they'll keep blowing it out of proportion. But if more games start to take things more seriously, like something like romance, if all the games start doing it, then nobody will really be able to complain anymore, because pretty much every game has it. So they'll stop fixating on one game that has 40 seconds of an implied sex scene.
All right, Internet, are you hearing this? Lee wants an intense emotional game. Go. I am sure we're going to get a lot of feedback about this.
That makes it sound like I want a Leisure Suit Larry game with like nothing but sex or something.
All right, Lee wants a game that is has very good character plot and amazing, intense characters that he can connect with in some way. Go. But anyway,
I guess that'll work. That'll work. I think we're actually going to move on now, and we're going to actually go to something I've been looking forward to. Z, your old school segment, take it away. I mean, you have been like just prepping for this, and you're just you're just eager to just blow my mind.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to share this with you. Okay, now I don't know if you were going to remember this. You know, I am a little bit older than you, Lee, but this is something from my youth that I would like to share with you in this moment. So, are you ready?
I'm ready to go back in time.
Here we go.
Oh my.
Yeah, rocking out. What? Get in shape, girl? Do you have any idea what this is? Maybe you do. Oh, it's so awesome. We're rocking out.
The workout bar on any door. It comes with leg warmers,
Leg warmers, tutu, head and wristband. Ah! Oh, Hasbro. So, Lee, do you have any idea what that is?
You really got pumped up for that. No, actually, I don't. I mean...
Oh, my God. All right, here we go.
What year is that from?
It's like 1987, maybe? It was... All right. There was some kind of aerobic craze sweeping the nation, and then someone decided, oh my gosh, you know, all these older women are totally wearing leotards and wristbands and leg warmers. I bet, you know, girls between the ages of like 6 and 10 would totally love to be doing the same thing, except like not really getting in shape at all, because their equipment like was not designed to really do anything. They had like a ribbon on a pole that was, you know, so you could pretend that you were in gymnastics, like, you know, Mary Lou Retton or something. And they had these bangle bop bracelets, which is what I had, which was basically like large pieces of colored plastic that you would snap onto your wrists, and then you would follow along with these cassette tapes that would instruct you on different aerobic activities so that you could get in shape. So I was thinking about this the other day because I've been watching The Biggest Loser every week. It's like the one reality show that I'm kind of into, and I think it's really cool. And then somehow, somewhere in the back of my mind, I suddenly started to remember the really bad commercials for Get in Shape Girl. And I just thought maybe I would share this little piece of retro, old school stuff with you guys. And I don't even know if anybody out there remembers this, but I had the Bangle Bop bracelets. And, you know, Get in Shape Girl kind of didn't last that long. Wonder why? Maybe because girls really don't care about working out so much when they're like between the ages of 6 and 10, because they're outside running around or, you know, playing and stuff. But yeah, it was crazy and weird and fun.
That was just a bit before my time. I mean, at that time, I was probably about 3 years old, and I don't remember much before '89, except like sitting on a couch one day and eating fish sticks and French fries. But other than that, I don't think I was able to make room in my mind to remember things about this type of commercial.
It's okay, Lee. Little old Z will tell you all about the things that you were too young to understand. No. Way to make me feel old. Thanks.
No.
But This is basically back in the 80s, and I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but we had Get in Shape Girl, there was like Mousercise, there were all these like kids exercise programs. But what's so weird is that like the whole like kid obesity thing didn't really hit the nation until, like 5 years or so ago. All of a sudden there was all these initiatives from the government like, oh my god, kids are fat, we have to do something about it. But I totally remember back in the 80s there being this huge like aerobic push for kids. So, I don't know. If anybody has any comments on that, I would love to hear them.
Aren't we kind of doing that again with the Wii Fit?
Yeah, totally. The Wii Fit is like buying into the entire like kid obesity is a huge issue, and if you buy your kids a Wii Fit, then suddenly they'll become thin. But really, you should just get them Get in Shape Girl from eBay. No, that's not true. You should get them both, and then they can like wear their Bangle Bot bracelets while they do Wii Fit. Because that's the best. Yeah. So, really bizarre stuff. Check it out on YouTube. We'll post the commercial for this specific dance bar thing that I just played for you guys on our site, LeonZ.com. You can check that out. But, I don't know. Blast from the past. There you go. That's your old school segment for episode 3.
I think I broke a sweat during that one. I mean, wow, that was like a very intense old school segment.
Shabam! There you go. All right, Lee, you're next. What do you have to share? It's show and tell time.
It's going to get even more intense. We got our...
No! Really? Oh, crap.
Turbo Top 3!
And people, you probably know the rules by now, but here's basically what we got. I ask Z to name her top 3 of any category I choose in 33 seconds. If I have a problem with the list, I'll ask her to explain it. After that, she'll ask me to name my top 3 of any category, 33 seconds. Done with this stuff. All right, we got to get right on to the list.
Okay.
All right. Top 3 video game consoles. Go.
Oh, the Nintendo, the Xbox 360, and the PS2. Easy.
I don't actually have a problem with that. I mean, I really do like that list. The only thing I would actually change is just I like the PlayStation 1 more than the PlayStation 2. Except the PlayStation 2 plays all PlayStation 1 games.
I mean, I feel badly about not bringing in my little Atari 7800. If you had had a fourth, I would have said that. But out of the consoles that we have in this house, which we have quite a few, those are the 3 that I play the most, and those are the 3 that I feel like have stood the test of time for me, and really have some of the best games that I have ever wanted to play.
I think your list needs a little bit more Atom, though.
Well, I mean, the Atom was great because it was my first console, but I will tell you that those controllers were so frustrating to use. They just were not the best in any way. I think that's why when we got an Atari, it was like a relief, because the controller actually worked and the game did most of the time what I wanted it to do. But you asked for my 3 favorite, and those are my 3 favorite. But as far as like what made me a gamer, the Atom is definitely in there. Okay, are you ready?
No.
Are you ready now?
Yes!
Okay, alright, here we go. Lee, name your top 3 CDs. Go.
Oh! See, that's another subject, because I actually don't listen to music all that much. But
What? Who are you?
I'm one of those types of freaks that actually pretty much just more appreciate something like the video game music out there. But when it comes to standard music, back in the day, I actually, even though Mortal Kombat Annihilation is an awful movie, I still bought the soundtracks. I thought it was really good. And for some reason, I like the soundtrack to Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. And I guess since we're asking for our favorite CDs, God, there was like a George Carlin CD I had that was really awesome. You asked for CD, it's really good.
I did. It was very specific, so it can't be something you download. It has to be a CD that you own.
Oh yeah, it was a CD that I own, and I think it said like the 7 dirty words and things like that. But George Carlin, any CD that you have is a definite winner, and I had one of those. We're going like way back here. Like the last time I really like bought CDs and things like that was probably 15 years ago.
Wow, I'm so surprised. I had no idea that you didn't listen to music. I'm a huge music person. I love music. There are certain radio stations that I listen to streaming all the time so I can hear new bands. I love music.
I don't know. I kind of like 80s rock, but other than that, I'm just not too much into the new stuff.
You are who you are. That's okay. You don't have to listen to music, but that's a very good answer. 3 top CDs in the bag. We got it. All right.
Yes! And now we move on to my favorite segment. Actually, every segment is my favorite, but this is my real favorite one, the viewer questions.
That's right. We got some viewer mail. It was a little difficult to pick which we were going to bring up on the show today, but actually I have a really great question, and it's from Devin and Jonathan, and they want to know what is our favorite anime or Japanese animation, or as some people say, anime. Depends. Anime, tomato. But I guess, Lee, we'll start with you first. What's your favorite anime?
I like this show that is called Slayers. It's just this very weird comedy / drama / romance / fantasy. It's about this really hot-tempered girl. She's like a sorceress, and it's just a whole crazy cast of characters. It's really tough to explain why I like it. It's probably one of the most unique shows I've ever seen, but it's just set in this really cool fantasy setting. It's probably one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, except it still has really high-tension moments that make you sad, make you emotional, things like that. I don't know. It is a show that just hits on so many different levels. Yeah, that's my favorite anime, but what I want to know is, Z, do you like anime? Because I've never seen you mention anything about it, so I don't know.
Well, actually, it's very interesting. I don't watch a lot of anime, but there are certain animes that I really, really like. And it's a little difficult for me to pick my absolute favorite, but I guess if I had to, I would say that Lane Serial Experiments is my favorite, by far.
I watched a few episodes of that. How is it?
Oh, it's so good. I have the whole thing on like 4 DVDs. It's great. I got it on VHS tapes. Like, I bought them slowly but surely when they were, extremely overpriced VHS tapes, one by one. And then since then, I've gotten it on DVD, and we have it here. And it's just, I just think it is such a good series. It's, to me, it's like a really long movie, in some ways. I just think it's really well done. But my favorite cartoon growing up was Voltron, and that's anime. And
yes, it is.
And actually, one of my favorite movies as a kid was something called Unico, which was by, now I always get his first name and his last name mixed up. It's either Osamu Tezuka or Tezuka Osamu. But he did Astro Boy, and which a lot of people know him, and he did Kimba the White Lion, and he also did these 3 movies about Unico, the unicorn. And they're really bizarre and awesome, and 2 of them are in English. And actually, if you ever are on the pbcproductions.com message board, you'll see I have a little cat on a broom. That's my icon. It's like a little animated GIF, and that's actually Katie the Kitty Witch from Unico. So a little bit of information about my anime perusals. I also like Miyazaki's work as well. Some of it I like better than others. I loved Howl's Moving Castle. I thought that one was just absolutely great. Spirited Away was really, really wonderful. But I think my all-time favorite, if I just had to pick one, would be Lane. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It is really, really good.
Well, I'll definitely put that on my agenda for the next month or so. I'm going to seek out that show and just watch every single episode right on through.
Awesome. Well, and after you do, let me know and we can talk about it on the show, because I'd love to hear what you think of it.
Okay. If anybody out there is interested in us talking about anime, so far we are kind of a retro gaming podcast with other geek stuff going on, but I at least have a small interest in anime, and Z has shown that she likes some stuff like Lane and Voltron, and also the Unico that I've never even heard of before. That's another movie that I'm going to check out.
I like the obscure stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
but
you're teaching me some things.
But that's the stuff that I watched when I was a kid, and that's the stuff that I really, really liked. And besides Lane, I've also been watching a series called Nia Under 7, which was by the same people who did Lane. But I think that Lane is far superior. So if you're looking for some good anime, you haven't seen Lane, definitely go check that out. It is awesome. Awesome.
Yep, definitely will do. And that's it for our viewer questions. If you have any questions at all about the show or about basically anything in general, send us an email at mailbag@LeeNZ.com. And also, we have our catchphrase contest, which we are actually going to have to extend another 2 weeks because we have been so busy lately. There's been so much going on in April, some of it that we can't discuss, some of it that we can, a lot of it just involving just us being very busy. I have to work on production of the show a lot, and Z has a lot of productions she's working on.
But that being said, we will definitely have a choice, a final decision for this ongoing, unending contest at the next podcast. So episode 4, stay tuned. We will have an answer for you.
And for those of you that are trying to still think of an ending catchphrase for the show, you still have time to get it in now. I mean, if you were just sitting on one thinking, they'll never take that line, send it in. We will read it. Because, I mean, there was one guy that sent in one of his entries and said, that was probably the worst attempt at a catchphrase ever. I loved it. I thought it was going to really work. And
he's high up in the running.
Oh, yes.
He's high up in the running.
Absolutely. We got several up there that we're going to try out, and we'll definitely have the winner next time on the Lee and Z Show.
You got it. So, anything else?
I know we're definitely going to be loaded up for the next podcast. We're just ever striving to improve, and we're definitely very grateful that we got so many supporters out there, probably about 10 times further than I ever thought we'd be so far. This show is progressing at a ridiculous rate. I'm not going to put on the brakes, though. We're just going to keep on flooring the accelerator, and we're just going straight into tomorrow.
Well, and what I can say is that on the next podcast, what you have to look forward to is an interview from another one of the talents at thatguywiththeglasses.com. I'm going to let it be a surprise as to who it is, but I had an interview with that person, and it went really, really well, and I'm going to be sharing that with everybody in the next show. So. And
our emails, again, is at mailbag@leeandz.com. Yeah, we will be seeing you some other time. We still need your help writing a catchphrase. You would think that after 3 shows, we'd be able to think up one on our own, but nope, we've just been so busy that just the creative juices have not been flowing in that type of stuff.
We're just still trying to figure it out, but I guess at this point we need to sign off in some way. So I'm just going to say this is Z.
Hey, and this is Lee.
And we'll catch you next time. All right, bye.
Bye.